So my name is Thiago Hinkel, and I'm currently a PhD candidate here at the University of Victoria with the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and I also teach as a sessional instructor in my department. I started working in this project around 4 years ago now as a research assistant, and during my time here I've had many different tasks, and they include, for example, analyzing different types of digital portfolio platforms, carrying out interviews with participants, analyzing the data of those interviews, and also collaborating to some articles that have been recently published. So digital portfolio is an idea, and there are many ways for you to materialize that idea, and it can be as simple as complex depending on the user and the purpose they have in mind. But it can be as simple as, for example, a record of a specific moment, an artifact, a collection of a moment, which could be a picture, an audio recording, a short video, and a reflection by the student saying what they learned, what that artifact represents or regarding their learning, and how it relates to a specific competency, for example, in the curriculum. And many platforms can be used for you to build a digital portfolio. And out there, we have different platforms that were built specifically with the purpose of enabling people to build digital portfolios. One example I can give you that it's an example that we usually see in schools is called FreshGrade. So FreshGrade is a platform that both teachers and students can use. And students, for example, can use FreshGrade to collect artifacts and then to reflect on them, especially how they relate to the competencies in the curriculum and what the students learned. So for example, let's say students had a field trip to some woods, let's say, and they took pictures of plants or took pictures of animals, and then they put that into their portfolio along with a reflection, right, about what they learned in that field trip. So students, for example, can share that portfolio with their teachers for assessment purposes. They can share their portfolio with peers for shared knowledge, but they also can share that with their parents later on, so that their parents are aware of what they are studying about in schools and what they are learning. Another example of a digital portfolio platform I can give you is Folios. So Folios is an open source platform, again, that was built with the purpose to enable people to build digital portfolios. And it relates to FreshGrade in a sense that allows you to do some of similar things that FreshGrade allows you to, but you have way more flexibility with Folios in the sense that you can decide how you want to build your portfolio, how it is going to look like. And also possibilities for sharing with wider audiences, and also it's like how it talks to other technologies too. It gives you more possibilities. But again, the platform maybe is not the secret. The secret, I think, or the main concept is the idea of a digital portfolio. And there are cases, for example, of people using platforms that were not intended to enable digital portfolios, but still people are building digital portfolios with them. So in a sense, we can say that these people maybe are hacking the platform to be able to get the objectives they have in mind. Yes, hacking can be a tricky word, and I know that often when people hear that expression, the first thing that comes to mind is a type of a malicious act or a criminal act with the intent of, getting people's passwords or getting access to someone else's account, let's say, which is a common use for the word. But how we use it in our project, it's more like an educational hacking or a pedagogical hacking. And we go back to the essence of this term, which means basically to use something for a purpose that it was not originally intended for. And in the case of a digital portfolio, maybe we are using a platform that was intended for something else, but we look at it creatively and we pedagogically hack it to make it behave like a digital portfolio. An example I can give you, for example, is some of the Google tools. We have examples of teachers using some of those tools with their students to build a digital portfolio. For example, you would use Google Drive to start a collection of artifacts, a repository of artifacts. But when it comes the time for you to build your portfolio, some teachers use with their students, for example, Google Slides. Google Slides was originally intended for people to build a presentation, right? A presentation that you can deliver along with your slides. But there are ways for you to make it behave like a digital portfolio. For example, you can link to your artifacts in your repository, for example, in Google Drive, along with a reflection of what you learned. And again, that reflection can include text, but it also can include audio recordings and video. Yeah, in a sense, hacking has that idea associated with it, that you are disrupting the system or finding a different way to do something, or a creative way to attain your pedagogical purposes. And in a sense, we can trace a parallel here with the educational system in a sense, especially if we look at it as a more colonial way, a traditional way, right? So the idea behind colonization is for you to have scarce resources and make people compete for them, right? And also some people accumulate too many resources, so they are limited and you have people competing for them. If we look at education with those eyes, and we look at traditional education, especially the grading system, it's very colonial in that sense, because A pluses, for example, are not available for everyone in the class. Only a few selected people will get a high grade, and people in a sense will be competing for that grade because they want to get grants or they want to move on their careers. And in a sense, it's not very fair because it doesn't have room for everybody. It makes learning or knowledge scarce, right? But working with digital portfolios, we shift that idea a little bit because people no longer are competing for something that is scarce. Then knowledge or learning is for everybody, and the way people address it, or the way people learn, and especially how people express what they have learned, how they communicate with other people, is more done in their way. It's more personalized. In that sense, we break away a bit from competition and from grades.